All right, hello everyone. Why don't we go around and introduce ourselves? Hello, my name is Kimberly Fang, and I am a violinist in the Fellows program from Gainesville, Florida.
Hi everyone, my name is Cameron Williams. I'm a cellist and I'm a first-year fellow, and I'm from Tampa, Florida.
Hey everyone, my name is Jake Pietranero. I'm a violist and I'm from New Hampshire.
And hello everyone, I'm Laura and I'm a second-year violin fellow from Chicago.
So now we'll pass it to Miguel.
Thank you guys. And I, when I heard that you guys were gonna do this piece, I was very excited because also I remember that we had been looking at like renting or purchasing music for this program, and it was quite a surprise when then I saw your finalized program that you were doing this piece, because I don't know, of course, like I said, someone from Panama, it's always kind of like neat to hear like the name, like even just hearing the word Panama come out of someone that is not from Panama is like, it's like kind of like a big deal. And to kind of like build, elaborate a little bit more on that feeling, I was, on a walk the other day, and suddenly like I got a few like Panamanian tunes like stuck in my head. So then it got me thinking about these pieces that Grant Steele wrote, and growing up in Panama, I knew of the pieces, but I had never performed them. And we do grow up performing and learning local traditional music, either through like when you play gigs or play in orchestra, or are indeed like involved in ensemble that plays traditional music. But this piece was always kind of like seem as like a elevated way of performing traditional music. So the first dance, which is tamborito, I know that it starts with this other theme that is also a tamborito, but it's in a minor key, and then it goes into in the middle when it gets a little bit more lively and more fun. I would say that's like the Panamanian national anthem. It's so popular, every single Panamanian person knows it. It's called Panameño, Panameño, el tambor de la alegría, which means like the happy drum, something like that. I don't know what would be the perfectly correct translation of it. But let's hear a little bit of it, and you will hear that theme, the da-da-dum, bum, 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 like right away. And what it's saying there is Panameño, Panameño, which is what you call someone from Panama, Panamanian. So it's like Panamanian, Panamanian. And it says, Yo quiero que tú. Yeah, so it's like, it's just inviting people into dancing this like happy dance, and it's just like about being happy of being Panamanian. So it's like the pride of being Panamanian, basically. That's basically what tamborito sounds like. Tamborito is the name of the dance / singing style, which is a chorus of women singing, and then an ensemble of drums. And there are 3 different types of drums that are used in a tamborito ensemble, which is the repicador, repujador, and caja. And caja is similar to what we may know as like cajon, which is like a kind of like a bass drum that it's just used for that, like boom, like you hear the like kind of like the low bass. And then the other ones are these drums that are held up here, and it gives you like kind of like the more like of the rhythmic variety in there. And it's a couples dance, so usually you will have like a couple dancing to it. And it's a very nice lively song, which I think is really neat how Grant still like brings that kind of like feeling and emotion into the middle of the song, but then incorporates a little bit of this like kind of like melancholic and nostalgic kind of like sort of like sad feeling in it too.
Yeah, I'm also thinking with the musical examples, Miguel, like that was so awesome because it makes me imagine maybe like, I mean, these aren't the specific field recordings, but kind of what Waldo documented and heard and then brought back to still, and how they were both just so able to make such an accurate, just an accurate arrangement of the sounds of Panama. So
yeah, and I also was gonna comment about that. I don't know if it's this movement or I think it's the last movement that has some of the tapping. And I find that it's interesting that the composer asked for the cellos to tap the back of the instrument with your knuckles. I believe it's like that. And I always felt that that didn't quite like made the sound that the drums actually made. But then there's also the tapping, and there's all these different kind of things. And I sometimes wonder, like if some of they when someone takes a piece of work that is inspired on a traditional folk tune or a traditional ensemble, and there's percussive elements that come from either from like tapping on the floor or the phonetics of like a song, if the idea is to completely like replicate the sound that that other instrument makes, or just kind of like bringing like that idea of the percussion into string instruments the best way possible.
So the cello and viola also have this like drum sort of idea in their parts as well, but this happens in the first movement and in the fourth movement, where Still instructs us to tap on the back of the instrument. And so you'll see me do like that through in the first movement and the fourth movement.
And I would say that in that case, it definitely is replicating the drum ensemble for the first movement. And we'll get to the other movement, the Mejoranera, which is more of like the tapping of like the shoes. That is pretty much what makes that dance what it is. So yeah, it's I do think that it's such a cool, awesome way of bringing all that together, and kind of like also shows like the diversity and of not diversity, the range that string instruments have for making sounds. So yeah, the next movement, Mejorana, that's what I was talking about, that it involves the instrument and then the tapping of the feet. The instrument that is used here, which is a stringed instrument, kind of like a guitar, it's called Mejoranera. And this is like where the Spanish influence comes in, right? The guitar is so very, very present in Spanish music, and I mean Spanish from Spain, and you know, you could probably say that most Latin American music has influences in Spanish music. And I also think about all the trade and all the kinds of people that live in Panama City before the Panama Canal was built. There was all sorts of cultures that came in, like we have the African Caribbean, we have the Spanish, we have the Chinese. There was a huge migration of Chinese, the Chinese community that come into Panama, and Arab and Jewish. There's just so much. I believe that just like kind of like brought so much like richness to what Panama was before the canal was built, and I think that it translates into the music so perfectly. In this case, the Mejorana or Mejoranera is an instrument that is made out of like a single block of wood. So it's like much smaller. It has 5 strings, and then the zapateo, which is that dance technique of like just tapping the feet strongly on the floor. What we call the slippers that men are wearing is cutarras, which they're made out of leather, and the sole of the shoe is very flat, and when you tap it against the ground, it just sounds like a really loud like clap. So it's like this combination of like the percussive like from the guitar, and then the tapping of the feet. That's like what makes basically that a mejorana.
Yeah, specifically the Mejorana, like still puts this in the viola part, where he has the viola sort of bounce the string, so it kind of sounds like this. So it's funny, we're talking a lot about today about like extended techniques, and it's cool that still and Waldo sort of were imaginative enough to come up with like the versatility of all of our instruments to replicate this music.
And I think that that's so cool because now just hearing you do it, it makes me think about how that technique, which not only sounds like the tapping of the feet, but it also sounds like the strumming of the string, like, you know, because that's like that's most of what the guitar, the mejorana is playing, and it's a lot of strumming, not so much like just like individual note playing. So I just think that technique just perfectly puts both of those together. Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to bring up about this movement is also the middle section of Vivace, and I can't remember, but it's supposed to be depicting a bull running event. And I was wondering, I couldn't find the name, but Miguel, do you know the name of this bull running event that happens? Is it just I was trying to find the actual term, but I couldn't find it.
I can think of a couple of traditions that are still practiced today, and one of them is that the person is actually riding a bull, and based like an actual bull, and it's like everybody is sitting outside like the arena, and then this person is inside like this cage where the bull is just like waiting to get out, and then they open the gate, and then the bull is just very, very agitated, so then the person is just like trying to stay on the bull. And I actually don't know the name of that activity, but it's very, very, very common especially in the countryside of Panama. and it's a big festivity where there's food, there's drinks, there's music. It's streamed on TV. And then there's also the lasso, like where the person is riding a horse and they're chasing a little calf, or like and then they just have to like wrap that. So it's very, I sometimes wonder again, like if these traditions came in from Spain or even the United States, right? Because that sounds very much like cowboy, like kind of like tradition. But that's what the whole idea of bull, the bull comes in. We don't have like bullfighters, or yeah, the animals are not being killed in that process.
It really makes me wonder, again, just thinking back to Waldo's time, like maybe she went to some event, or what did she see? Like what made her include that in the middle of this dance movement? Shall we go on to the third movement?
All right. So the next one, which is the punto, and punto means like point, and it's probably one of my favorite dances, just because of the incorporation of the traditional costume. The work that goes behind that costume, and like how important and empowering it is for women to wear that. It takes multiple hands to work on this costume, and it's usually days, months, even years to build to build this garment. And everything is hand embroidered. All the pleats that you see in the skirt, they are all hand pleated and ironed. So there's no chemical process to get those pleats to be always stay like that. And it's traditionally, it's always women who are hours and hours just hand embroidering every single thing. There's underneath that top layer, there's multiple other layers of underskirts, and then you get into the detailing of the jewelry, which is all made out of gold. And so every single neck piece, it's like a bunch of them. I think that it can be pretty heavy to wear. And then there's the headpiece, which is just individual little I don't know how to call them, but they're like little headpieces that just like go one by one into building this big kind of like coral reef kind of thing, because they're all made out of like pearls. And then the ones in the back that are also made out of gold, those are inspired in the Spanish like elegant, like queens, like costume, like the crowns that will be made out of like this rosin that goes in the back. So there's a lot of influences in this. And this outfit is called pollera, and it comes from Spanish tradition, and they have different polleras like all across Latin America. And this is the Panamanian one. This is the gala, the most formal traditional Panamanian costume that women wear. And it's considered like the most elegant, most beautiful, and like I said, like very empowering costume to wear, because it's very striking, right? It's like right away you are so drawn to it, and you're like, it's just like the combination of like hard labor and hard work from all these women that are just so talented and skilled and passionate about just putting a woman into this costume. The punto, it's a couples dance, and it is very elegant. It's like very, like the movements are very like smooth and slower, and it starts by the the male kneels over and then asks the female to dance with them, right? And so they kneel, and then she comes, holds their hand, and then she spins around him a couple times before then the dance starts. So it's kind of like the consent. It's kind of like I want to dance with you, and then the person says, okay, I will dance with you. And throughout the dance, they dance around each other, separate from each other, then they come closer, then they go back and dance around each other. So there's like a lot of like flirting that happens, and it always meets in the center, right? They dance around the stage, but it always meets in the center. And that's what I think that the word punto comes in, because it's like that's like that point of encounter. And throughout the song, there's a lot of like that flirtatious like nature, and then towards the end, he puts the hat over her face, and it's implied that they're kissing towards the end. So there's this whole story that it's being told from the beginning, from consent to flirting to then, you know, like you end up kissing. And I think that it's so beautiful, and that's what the punto is about, is telling a love story or a flirting, like, how do you call that, like when it's like when you're just trying to entice someone into being with you, right?
Courtship.
Courtship, yes, that. And
Miguel, this is so interesting. As you're talking and describing this scenario of the male and the female, I'm just thinking of points in the movement where the quartet comes together in unison. So we'll all have separate things like stuff like that, and then we all come together in this like middle intersection sort of a place, and then at the end we have kind of this like seductive, like, where I can just like, I was just getting a total picture in my mind of the hat coming over the faces of the two dancers.
And I was just gonna bring up about the fact that structurally, like when you, and I'm pretty sure that we can analyze this movement in like with the correct European, like not the correct, but like the traditional European music tradition, which again, you know, there's a lot of it. There's a lot of influences from Western European music and Latin American music. There's no question about that. But it's traditionally it's by sections. Like it starts in a major key, the da da dee da da dee da da, and then there's like a little bit more of like a which is like the more percussive, and in that part the dancers are doing that like kind of zapateo, which we saw before in the Mejorana, and then there's a minor section, which is traditionally it's like the direct minor or whatever minor key that is related to the original key, and that's like a more like melancholic, more like, so I think about like the struggles that of like being in a relationship, and then like the sad moments, and then back to the happy moments. So I think that's like what is very special about it's like the story that is told.
Talking about again the structure of the movement, compositionally, but then also as a dance. I think Waldo, once again, like I think she captured that really, really well again, because she follows the dance exactly in order, starting with the walk and then going into the shoe tapping and then going into the sweep and then also coming again with the follow. So like she not only does she stay in that like, you know, classical form of structure, but she also stays in the structure of the dance, which I think is just another super cool thing. And like
it's just to me that's like the beauty of celebrating and appreciating, right? I don't know that it's a moment to talk about this, but we oftentimes go into the conversation of like what's cultural appropriation and what's celebration, right? Or and I believe that when it's something like this, it's you can see like how the culture is being celebrated and how it's being put out there as like not like I created this, but I'm in love with this and I just want the world to know about it, and how as a Panamanian person, to me it's just like very um flattering and encouraging and just like honoring that like that my music is just like I grew up like as a little kid like dancing and doing these things, and now it's like being performed like in where I live in Providence. So it's like really, really awesome. And the last movement, which I think it's like the most exciting and perfect way of like kind of like wrapping up like all the piece, is the Cumbia Congo. And you know the cumbia, it's actually a fairly common style, rhythm dance music that it's common in, I would say, most of Latin America, but mostly the Caribbean regions of Latin America. So like Panama, Colombia, Venezuela, and like all of Puerto Rico, Cuba, Dominican Republic, cumbia. It's like, and I would say that even probably all the way up to northern Central America, and it has a lot of African influences. And as you know, the African trade started or came through Latin America, and a lot of the Africans came to America through the West Indies and the Caribbean, and I think that a lot of the African influence stayed in Latin America because of how strongly there was like this strong sense of community that was formed in the Caribbean sides of Latin America, and it just translated into the music and dances and traditions and food so perfectly. And Congo is a very specific dance that is mostly found in the Caribbean part of Panama, where the original port of entry is called Portobelo was, even before the Panama Canal. And I think that I mentioned that there were two times in which there was a big migration of Africans into the Panamanian region, which was at the beginning of colonization, and then when the railroad and the Panama Canal was built. And you will see that it's very very much its own thing, right? There are some similarities between the other dances that we saw, but the Congo has this very, very particular sound. So if you can see, there's like similar to the tamborito, where there's like an ensemble of women singing, and then there's the percussion, and then there's the couples dance. But a very, very, very special and unique sound, and costumes are different, and I just thought that, all the dances that Grant Steele included into this piece just perfectly, like, brings together all the richness and like culture, tradition, race. It's like everything, it's there, and it's just kind of like one of the things that Panama is very proud of. It's like its diversity, and its just mixture of everything, right? I The concept of melting pot is very, very different, and I think that you guys did an amazing job at including this piece into your program, and how that sort of like translates into the work that we do at our organization, and what we are when we talk about all these inclusion and diversity and appreciation of fellow cultures. So I would love to hear from you guys, like, how that experience has been with this program in specific, if that question is clear.
Yeah, I think no, thanks again, Miguel. And I think just going back to even our initial decision in choosing to program this piece, as it was something that was different, a piece that wasn't as well known, but just you sharing so much information with us, it just goes to show, like, there is just so much to learn from this piece. Culture, tradition, like, yeah, there's notes and techniques and stuff like that, but there's just so much rich information that you can learn from this work, that you wouldn't get that you wouldn't get from elsewhere. And I think that kind of overbranching idea is kind of what inspired our entire program. Each piece is just so different and stands alone in itself. But it's like when you go this extra step and you dive in and actually learn more about the work and the compositional elements and the history and traditions, that should be the end goal, is to celebrate this music, because it should be along with just everything else. So I just wanted to add that back into. I love that point too.
Thank you, Miguel. We're lucky to have a Panamanian on staff. So thank you so much for just being here with us.
Thanks for doing the piece, and for actually, spending the time to talk about it, and learn a little bit more about it. So I look forward to hearing it.